Hey folks, welcome back. Hopefully I don't sound too rough today. We're all getting over the flu, which has been super rad. Now, in a video that I posted not long ago, I showed you how to tie my BR bug, or the backer rod bug, which is kind of one of my down and dirty guide patterns that just fishes very, very well. Now, if you took flu. Now, if you took my advice, which you should have, and went and got the materials to make that fly, you now have what you need to make up some awesome, easy poppers. Easily customizable, tons of fun to fish. Who doesn't like to fish a popper? And because that material is so cheap, you can really experiment. If you mess up, who cares? Make another one. So let's head over to the vise and tie up, I guess, what would be the BR popper. Sorry if we have any sound issues today. It is insanely windy today, so I may be dealing with some ambient noise, so you'll just have to bear with me. I've got a size 6 2x long streamer hook in the vise here. We are going to use a pretty heavy hook for this, and a size 6 works pretty well if you're using the same foam that I told you to get for the backer rod bug. So I'm going to just start dressing the front of this with some black 6/0 thread, keeping those wraps nice and tight. We'll also get some glue on this, but we don't want anything to roll or anything like that. So what you're going to do with that backer rod, you have some options here. All right. We want it to be right around the halfway point. You don't have to be super scientific here. And what you can do is you can cut this end off square. Okay, and just put it on, or you can cut this end at an angle, all right, so that it sort of funnels the water up as you strip it, like kind of a little bit more of a traditional popper. That's totally up to you. But basically what you'll do is just eyeball this thing in terms of cutting it, and cut it to where it's about to the halfway point of your hook shank. Just like that. That's going to make your popper head. Just like we did with the BR bug body, we're going to come into the bottom here, and we're going to put a cut in there to about the halfway point or so. Okay, so you should have a little slit, just like that. Okay, and that'll have it prepped for you. So I'm going to do some good open wraps here and there, just, crisscrossy kind of stuff to texture up these thread wraps as much as I can. Nice heavy gauge thread will help as well to really give that something to bite to. So I'm going to glue that. So I'm just going to throw a couple half hitches on there just to tame down that thread. All right, so now we're going to come in with some super glue and just get some on these thread wraps here, or drip it everywhere. If you're like me, you can do that as well. And now I am going to turn everything to the side so that I can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to spread that little channel and just go ahead and get this thing softly set. All right, we don't need everything glued up perfectly at the moment. I just want to get it set at the angle that I want it to be at. So I got my little slope nice and straight up and down. There we go. And now you can come in, fill some of these voids with some of this glue, and really get this thing glued up and set. Something that will save you some headache is not putting a ton of glue in there. Less is more when you are gluing this foam up. The more you put, the longer it's going to take it to bite and set up. So I put just a little bit on there, and that's already sealed that bottom up for us. So now you can just let that hang out for a moment or two and get fully set up for you. All right, now you should have everything set. Nothing should be wanting to roll on you or do anything too crazy. Now we can turn this crazy looking little blob into a popper. So I'm just going to start my thread right here behind our backer rod popper head. Trim out that excess there. Now, in terms of tails, there's tons of stuff you can do here. A really good bang for your buck is going to be rubber legs. You know, much like marabou, it's just a naturally vibrant material when it's in the water. It just sort of wants to move. So I will generally always incorporate some rubber legs. And I also personally try to not go too crazy with the tails. It's nice to have, you know, that big long flowing tail. That's also just that much more that the fish hits without getting your hook. So I try to not go crazy with the tail length. Of course, that's totally up to you. So I'm going to give this one a little bit of traditional flair. I'm going to come in with a couple of saddle hackle feathers. They're pretty short, and I'm going to put those in so that they splay out. Pretty traditional thing to find on popper patterns. So those feathers have a natural bend to them. So I'm going to put it to where that bend is facing out, and that's going to give these the most movement in the water, because they're going to kind of kick in and out almost like a frog leg or something. So I stripped a lot of material, as you can see, off of those stems so that I had a lot to tie in there. Easy breezy, just like so. I'm going fairly traditional with this tail, so it's going to be, you know, a couple of those saddle hackles, a little bit of rubber legs, and then I'm going to put a fairly stout collar on there. But you can come in with tons of material here. Give it flash if you want it to have flash. You can put a marabou tail in there, which is going to move a lot. Right now I'm going to tie in a purple. I've gotten to where I really love to add purple to just about everything, because it is just an impulse machine when it comes to triggering strikes. But I've just tied in another purple saddle hackle here. Pretty webby. We don't want to get, you know, insanely oversized from the actual size that we're tying here. So it's, you know, you can see I'm coming well down past the hook point here, but I don't want it to be too insane. And I'm going to come in here and just snake some wraps through that actual feather. I've already captured the stem, but I want to reinforce everything in there a little bit as well. And we'll just finish that off. I mean, you could leave this tip in there. It's not going to be noticeable. It's not going to hurt anything, but I'll go ahead and clean it out just because that's how I roll. All right, I'm going to go ahead and come in behind that and give it a whip finish, and then you can sneak head cement, super glue, whatever you want back here to finish those wraps off. Just palmer that material back, come in with your glue, and just put it in right there. There we go, easy breezy. These things are cheap to make because you got a ton of that backer rod if you went out and picked it up, so you can experiment with different head shapes. All kinds of things that you can do. All kinds of things that you can do on the tail. Put marabou in there, do all rubber legs, oversize the collar, all kinds of flash, whatever. This makes a really economical way to make poppers, and I think everybody likes to fish poppers. If you don't, what's the matter with you? So just another way that you can use that backer rod to make some easy bass and panfish bugs. Tie some up. They're fun to play around with and even more fun to fish. Thank you all so much. Tight lines, and God bless.